this lesson is all about value, the lightness or darkness of color. And you can read about value in my book, The Quilter's Color Club, see lots of examples, and learn a lot on your own. So we're going to look at some examples in fabric. As I said, value is the lightness or darkness of a color. And here you see three values of blue-green, a light, a medium, and a dark. Now, of course, there are infinite variations in value from the very lightest lights to the very darkest darks, but I like to think of light, medium, and dark. Makes it easy. Value has this amazing advancing and receding quality in quilt design, and I know that sounds a little theoretical, but you'll be able to see it in the examples and in your own work. Dark values come forward and light values recede. So that if you have a star, for example, a dark star on a light background, you read the star as being foreground because it's advancing, and you read the background as being in the distance because it's a lighter value and is receding. Now, I heard it said many years ago, and it's so true, value does all of the work and color gets all of the credit. And I think you'll see that as we go along. Value does two very important functions in quilt design. It makes the sense of layering or foreground and background. That is, it establishes a sense of depth, and it establishes the design so that you can kind of read the design. So let's look here at an 8-pointed star, which basically is two values, and they're actually quite close in value, but the pattern is making them seem more separate. This has a medium value and sort of a medium light value in the background. So you don't get a great sense of depth. You do see foreground and background. You get a little sense of layering, but not a great sense of depth, but you do see the design. But look what happens to this block, and I just love this block. It's so amazing. I think it's the perfect block for a quilt for a teenage boy because it has all of this dimension. The same block, but now I've put a very dark value in the corners, and I've alternated the diamond shapes with another fabric that's a little bit darker in value than the red-orange one. So here you get a sense of depth, a very strong sense of depth, almost volume, and you also get a sense of the design, that it's very three-dimensional. So value really does all of the work and color gets the credit. Two more examples. This shows you how much impact value has on the look of a design. Now this is the King's Crown block, and we're going to be using that throughout the series of lessons because it's my favorite. I use it in my workshops. And I like it because it has large triangles and small triangles, one large square and 4 smaller squares. So it gives you the opportunity to introduce accent colors and little bits of pattern that you might not want to use in large quantities. So this is a traditional value placement on your left. The large triangles are darker in value. The center is kind of a medium light. It's a multicolor fabric, so it's kind of hard to determine exactly its value. The corner squares are medium in value, and the background is kind of a medium light or a light. So distinct values in a very traditional value placement. In this example, I've reversed the placement of the background and the large triangles. So now I get the sense that I'm looking at a large on-point square with this floating on top, and you might get the sense that you're looking through a cutout. But because the center square fabric and the background are somewhat similar in value, they're almost reading as one unit. Another couple of examples. Now this one, I love to show this in my workshop because a lot of people will say, that's just the kind of quilt I make. They're beautiful fabrics, center multicolored print fabric, shot cottons, a very subtle print in the background, and in the corner squares a medium value. So there is a range of values, but it's really fairly tight, and it really keys off the center fabric. It's as if you chose the center fabric and then looked for the colors that matched. Remember that word, matchy-matchy. So it's safe and it's pretty, but look what happens when you change the values again of the large triangles and the center squares. Now this was a bit of a cheap thrill because this is the same fabric cut from different areas. It gradates in value. But the red is a distinctly different, darker value than this pink, which is more what's in the fabric. But you can see that this has a much more dramatic effect. You might prefer this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can see that just altering, playing with the values, even when you're keying off a focal fabric, gives your block more punch. Now for your homework, you're going to make the 8-pointed star, the rolling star. or the eight-pointed star. It depends on how you use the values. I'd like you to try to do both. So you'll first do an eight-pointed star out of the same fabric and a background fabric, and then you'll introduce two more fabrics to alternate the diamonds and to change what's in the corner squares. Now, of course, this will be up on the site for you to download to complete your exercise, and I hope that you'll send your examples back, because I love to see what you do. So in a nutshell, that's about value, the lightness or darkness of a color, and it really does all of the work, and color gets the credit. So if you have a design or a quilt block or a series of quilt blocks that really aren't working, I would encourage you to look first at the values before you think about working with the color. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.